Welcome back, coaches. This is the Football Coaching Podcast. I am Daniel Chamberlain, co-host, here with Joe Daniel, as always.
What's up, Coach?
Brent Venables' defense is the best defense in the college football. Almost said in the NFL. Probably there, too.
Okay.
That's what's up, Coach. That's how I'm starting this episode.
Okay. I still forget that you guys are in the SEC. I'm just like, I watched some YouTube video that was like some SEC roundup thing, and they were like, Oklahoma, and I was like, who?
Yeah.
Who? Texas doesn't even make sense to me. I'm just like, what are these guys doing here? I'm still upset about Missouri. Like, I hold a grudge for a long time.
Yeah, I don't. Missouri.
I'm not even sure Arkansas belongs. I just didn't you guys have your own conference at one point? Go back to your little 8.
Yeah. So the Big 8 was a thing.
Big 8, yeah.
I think the Southwest Conference back in the day was a thing. You're challenging me on my history now, or not challenging me, put me on the spot, and I don't.
That still exists.
Yeah, I don't know it as well, but yes, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
now you guys are there now. I the super conference thing is just, it sucks. It was. I get it.
So just, we'll get out of college football in a minute, but I love college football. It's so much fun to watch and be around. Oh, yeah. I think the super conference is going to lead to things to break off and become a non-NCAA thing. And it's 100% because of think like this. OU picked up Jaden Ott this year, running back out of Cal, right? Or UCLA, or where I think he was Cal. Was an absolute stud last year. I mean, was ranked one of the top running backs he's our third string running back.
Right.
Now, he's coming off of an injury in the spring or in the fall. As a coach, I know he has to get acclimated back to game speed. So do I think he physically is the actual third string? I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, SEC football, even we just played a Big Ten game only, right? But the kids that are on an SEC roster, it's that much more competition than the kids that are out there. So if you get away from, if we go Big Ten, what is the Atlantic Coast Conference or whatever, ACC and SEC.
Wow, come on, man.
If
maybe I know they're not what they used to be, but
I think that's the 3.
Florida State, maybe, I don't know.
Clemson. Florida State's doing big things. Yeah, so they got a couple, right?
Miami.
I think those 3 break off and make their own
might
thing.
Have some actual competitive juice this year.
I didn't mean like ACC. I just meant, is it? I was trying to say their full name, and I don't know what it is.
It is the ACC. It is the Atlantic Coast Conference. Yeah.
Okay, so I got it right.
I mean, it's not my people. Look, I just live here. Okay, like I live here in Virginia, where of course, my favorite one is that Maryland left the ACC and moved to, because they're so close to Iowa, they moved to the, Big Ten or whatever.
Yeah. See,
what are you doing, Maryland?
The regional thing I love, and something.
Yeah, that's where I like. Why is Maryland in the Big Ten? And that's like, I don't have anything against Oklahoma, but you're so far from Athens. Like, it's so far
from our side. But think about this. We are primed for the Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M.
You are, LSU. And you guys should all go away and be your own thing. We'll keep LSU.
The Western region of the SEC is.
Yeah, but then they got rid of the West. It's like, fine, if you guys all want to be the West, go be the West. And the thing was, the West had Alabama and Auburn, which are like a 3-hour drive.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I like the SEC. I like the old SEC. And South Carolina's fine. They can stay. But outside of that, it's like,
I think the best football is going to be there for years to come. The Big Ten is scary. I loved hearing Saban's take. He's like, yeah, when they can pay their players, everybody's going to
that'll be the interesting thing is with, but I think that's not going to, I mean, it already isn't Wild West. And so, you can't, nothing can function at this stage, on this stage, nothing can function without regulation in some capacity for very long. So like high school football is going to do the same thing. Right now, there's no regulation in a lot of states on high school football. It's either going to fall apart as we know it, or somebody will step in and say, no.
Yeah. I don't think you're ever getting the genie back in the bottle. So it'll just have to be the next thing.
Yeah. It's going to be right. Yeah. You're never going to like the things like the NIL money is here to stay, but the regulation of the money is going to happen. And, you can believe that people out there are going to regulate the money.
You know what I'm interested in? Because we saw someone do it. I think it was this year. The 4-year college player, I think, is done. I think we're pretty close to like the kid that can't make it in the NFL is an 8-year college kid, and he just keeps staying on and gets his master's.
Yeah.
Because there was one kid this year that went to the draft, didn't get drafted, and now he's back on a college team. Like that used to be the no-no. Like if you picked to go, that was your one shot.
Yeah, I forget what it was, but yeah, he came back. Well, and the one that stands out is Carson Beck. It's like Carson Beck, thought he was going to be a first rounder, didn't have a good year at all. Kind of
Won the national championship, didn't he?
Huh?
Didn't they win the national championship? Oh no, it was the year after that, wasn't it?
No, he didn't win a national championship. Stetson Bennett won both national championships. I mean, Carson Beck had a great record, but like he did not have a good year last year. He had a worse year last year than he did the year before.
Yeah.
But went from a potential number one pick to essentially a 5th rounder and was like, well, I'm just going to go take this $3 million NIL. It's like, yeah, you are.
Go to Miami.
To stay in college? Yeah, of course you are. Like, no. Yes. Anyway, all right. Enough college football.
All right. The actual football coach.
They're separate podcasts
episode here. Hey, we're talking about improving your pass rush. The title, we struggled to get quarter pressure on the quarterback. Lots of teams have been there. So tonight we're going to tell you how to really coach this up, a situational football for your defensive linemen, how to call your defense to attack the protection. Man, I've been seeing it. It's in my dreams right now. Just protections that aren't working. And then teaching simple pass rush techniques that your high school 0.75 to 1.25 kids can actually use, not the NFL teach tape on how to have 7 pass rushes. Yeah. So
we'll get to it.
We will get to it. Last week
around that.
We talked about we can't move the ball consistently. Appreciate all you guys that jumped on live for that. And I hope y'all are showing up tonight as well. And then next week, we're going to talk about we can't stop dual threat quarterbacks, which, dude, you watch NFL level, people can't stop it. So
that's the next evolution of this. We're going to get pressure, and then he's going to escape.
Yeah, and then we got to go. Yeah. Yes.
There are problems.
Talk about your level up, man.
So I was in Chicago for, every quarter I go to Chicago for this business group called Strategic Coach. I've been in it for 4 years now. It's pretty pricey, but like very worth it. And just this was the first one, the first, and anything you do like this. And I mean, this would apply to football clinics too, right? The first couple times you go to a Glazier clinic, like you are drinking from a fire hose, you are getting so much information, you are like drowning. And then the next few times you go, you're finding great stuff. This was the first one, not that the information being presented wasn't great, but the people in that room blew my mind. It changed the way that I think about. I already told you about some things with AI.
Yeah.
And the things that AI can do, just the whole concept of this business and the concept of business as a whole, and just blew my mind with stuff. And so I came back. I honestly, I get frustrated for those of you who are like, how could you, like, you get to do football all the time? It's like, yeah, kind of, but really it's a business. And also, you guys are football coaches. You understand this. We are always keeping score, right? We are competitive. And no matter what you do, you are competitive and you want to be the best. When I was a teacher, like, was I the best teacher? No, but dang on it, I wanted to be. I tried.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to be a terrible geometry teacher. I just kind of, I'd never done it before, right? But I was trying. Those other math teachers in the department didn't get it. They think you're because I go to football practice at 2:50 and they stay there and grade papers until 4, that like I'm not going home after and working on my stuff. Like it's a long job. The problem with being a competitive person is you're never going to be the person that leaves at 2:50 and shuts it down. And in business, I'm never going to be the person who's like, this is a good business and things are going well. It's always, and the way we keep score is growing business. And so I'm constantly striving to do that. And it's frustrating because it's hard to do right now. Everybody knows everything is tough right now.
Yeah.
But I go out to something like this, and I get new ideas, and I get around people who are making it work, and I just get excited about it. It's the same thing as a coach when you get around people at a clinic in February, and you went 3-7 last year, and you're getting around people who were 3-7 2 years ago, and they went, to the playoffs, and you're like, and they're telling you how they did it, and you're like, oh my God, this is it. This is like, I've got the works. Or you get into JDFB. Go into JDFB right now and go into if you're a JDFB member. If you're not, you should join. But if you're a JDFB member, and jump into the weekly wins in the community, in the chalkboard community, and just like see, we've got coaches. We had Coach break a 26-game winning streak, or 26-game losing streak in his first game as head coach.
Let's
They lost
go.
26 games.
Congrats, dude.
We have coaches talking about turning things around. We had a coach who had a toxic coach on his staff last year, a youth coach who took half of his players and left, and he went and found new players, and he's in the semifinals now for his championship over in Germany. We have a coach who's winning. There's coaches talking about things that like it's happening. It happens. You get around those people who are doing the thing that you want to do, and you come back just like energized, like, let's go. I got a way now.
Yeah.
That's my level up. Just re-energized about everything.
It is a tough time right now, right? I mean, it's when the necessities get so expensive, people struggle, then all of our side hustles aren't necessities for people anymore.
Right.
And now it's not your side hustle, it's your only hustle. Or, well, it's your main hustle. And so when that's targeted to people that are paid the smallest amount of most.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Like, they're that's always a thought, is like, I know what our target market does for a living. I did it for 10 years. And you also look at, it's September. This is always the toughest time for me because everybody's got their playbook. Everybody's got their stuff. Everybody's like, nobody's changing their playbook or, all that kind of stuff right now. I think there's a ton that we can do for coaches in season, but it's hard to get somebody. A lot of coaches just go, well, I don't have time. It's like, I try to stress, like, you don't have time not to. You don't understand what we can do for you. But it's hard to sell that. What I can say this year is that we have at least sold the coaches who bought in because nobody's leaving. But, it's a tough time in that respect.
For sure.
New business is tough.
I have a double level up, and the first one is actually just a celebration of we won a game last week, and we were down 14-31 at halftime.
Oof.
And honestly, they were in position to run away with the game. Everything they were doing was working. We were struggling to execute on offense. One of our first touchdown was because the first kickoff return, we ran back to the 1 yard line and then punched it in. Took 2 plays because of a penalty on the first one. Like, our execution was not good. Actually, it might have been a penalty on them. Now I think about it. I think we got half an inch closer or whatever. But we came out in the second half and shut them down. Shut out second half. And we won 35-31. And I don't know that there's a more fun place to be in coaching than a rivalry game you haven't won in 6 years. They're putting it on you, and you go in and make legitimate adjustments that aren't like, hey, let's change everything we do.
Right.
No, let's do common sense, take away what they're taking, and see if they can make the next adjustment. And they just couldn't. Excellent team on the other sidelines too, man. They're going to win a lot of football games this year, but it felt super good to go out there and make those adjustments and win that game. So that's my first one. It's not really a level up, but just a celebration of like all the things that we talk about on this podcast, that I talk about on the other podcast, that I talk about in my consulting, game filming out, just all the very simple. Take that away. If you're hurting, getting hurt with something, take it away.
Mm-hmm.
And it works, and you go out and you win a good game. So that was awesome. My real level up, this was our first week in our new business. I've talked about last week, we are food trucking now. So everybody watching live on my Facebook, y'all have seen all the posts because, man, we are tearing it up in social media right now. But I went last Friday was my first day, and I went with my mentor, who's a good friend of mine, and I worked with her for a day. And this gets back to, I always try to get it back to football, but her menu when she's working by herself in a food truck is like 25 items or more. Like, it's
Wow.
huge. It's huge. But she's been doing it for 6 years. She knows all the ingredients. She knows all the shortcuts. She knows what, it's second nature. Not for me. So I'm sitting in the truck with her, getting behind, trying to hey, what's the ingredients that? How do you make that? Whatever. And I was like, next week I'm on my own. I'm going to be in this trailer by myself. Of course, the volume's way down because people don't know about us yet. But, the word's spreading, so it's really neat. But you're legitimately the hostess, the waiter, the chef. You're everything in one, right? So you gotta do all this on the fly. And so my game plan was limit the menu, which we talk about all the time in simplification, is quit giving them an NFL playbook when your right tackle doesn't know if he's running power left or power right, or you know what I mean? And that's what I did. I just took her very complex 25 plus item menu. I shortened it down to 8, 9 things, and 6 of those are the same thing. I just put it together different. So it's the ingredients don't change. Simplification, and people in our area are raving about it already. We're already getting great reviews. So it was very easy for me. I can add 2 this next week. I'm going to try to add another thing, but man, I just used I'll call it the JDFB method because it's what I learned from you in my second year of coaching. My first year in the podcast world was quit being so freaking complex. You don't need all that. You can be very successful being simple. So it was awesome. First week is done. Had enough success that we're going to stick to it. So next week I'll be back out hitting the streets. And it's going to be amazing. But using football in real life still happens all the time.
Nice.
I don't remember. Oh, we did already talk about last week. Sweet. Hey, we're ready to pay the bills and move on, man.
Let's do it. All right. Is your football team stuck in a losing tradition you can't seem to break? You put in hours of hard work. You do all the right things. You tried changing the scheme. You've changed the culture. Nothing seems to work. You can't break the losing cycle. When the going gets tough, when adversity strikes, the heads drop, and it's the same old, here we go again feeling. It is time to break out. My latest coaching manual called Breaking the Losing Cycle reveals how underdog teams are turning their seasons around without needing more talent or a bigger roster. Find out why teams stay stuck in the losing cycle, the secret ingredients to break out, and the quick fix solutions you can use right now to break the losing cycle for good. You can download my free manual now at joedanielfootball.com/breaking or at the homepage, joedanielfootball.com, to break the cycle and put an end to your losing tradition now.
We all know that speed wins games. The real question is, are you fast enough? Speed changes everything. It turns average plays into touchdowns and good players into game breakers. But here's the truth. Real speed isn't just natural, it's trained. At Athletic Speed Movement, we show athletes how to get faster, quicker, and more explosive using proven methods that translate directly to the field. Our system was built by Del Basquet, an absolute legend of California area, who's done at the highest levels, being the very first speed coach in the NFL. And it works for all athletes at every level on the way down. So whether you're a coach looking to elevate your team or a parent wanting to give your athlete an edge, this is where speed starts. Go to athleticspeedmovement.com and learn how to build real speed that shows up on game day. Don't just play the game, outrun it. I love it. Sweet. Let's get into it here, Joe. Part 1, we're talking, and I mentioned it earlier, and it's a little bit of an odd thought when you get into improving pass rush and you're not landing home. Thinking about situational football for one position group.
Mm-hmm.
We do it with DBs all the time. It's 3rd and long, go to the sticks, right? Don't give up the first down. We do it with backers quite often, and honestly, it's just in the reads is so freaking simple. But you start thinking gap scheme and zone and all that. I feel like that's very situational. Who we're playing this week has become situational. Think about that for D-line is not something I've really put my mind to until I read this thing tonight. So tell me about situational football specifically for defensive linemen.
We think about working situational football, and you're right. When we think about, we're going to work 3rd and long situation, or we're going to work 2nd and a mile, or we're going to work 4th and long, or whatever it is, 3rd and medium, maybe. We think about that. Well, let's just take 3rd and long as or a 2-minute drill or something like that. We think about working those situations. We think about it exactly what you said. We think about it in terms of the coverage. This is an opportunity for us to, and a lot of the time, I know we very rarely work 3rd and longs because we're kind of just going to run our coverage, right? Might run cover 1 instead of cover 3 or something because it's a passing situation, or we might run our quarters, or maybe we're going to bring a blitz, more aggressive passing blitz, which we'll talk about. But we don't think about it in terms of our defensive linemen and going to our defensive linemen and saying, hey, you don't need to worry really about down blocks right now. You don't need to worry about getting reach blocked. You don't need to worry even about a base block. This is how fast, and we talk about situation. A guy named Denny Marson, who was the Giants and the Jets defensive line coach and was a Glacier Clinic speaker after he retired. I saw him a couple times at Glacier Clinics, and he just had such great, really simplified. Now he would go and draw up there like, this is my favorite, pass stunt, and it'd be like the nose looping 9 gaps.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, our nose would not get there.
He has cankles.
Yeah, but he had great, just simplified process of pass rush, which his, and a lot of other coaches say this, but it just stuck with me the way he said it was, no matter what, the ultimate goal is to get even with his hip. If I can get to his hip, I've got him beat. He can't block me anymore. The only thing he can do is hold me at that point, which is a flag in theory. So at that point, my mindset goes from strike point. And I, by the way, if you're coaching 12-year-olds and you've just gotten them to bend on a down block, don't talk about this. Like, don't change them. Number one, the passing game isn't that effective. Number two, you're going to ruin them. It's kind of like what we talk about with linebackers. If he pulls, follow. If he doesn't, fill, and we'll worry about the pass later. So, like, I don't teach a high hat usually in the first year at least. But with your more experienced, your varsity, experienced defensive lineman, it's understanding the situation and saying, hey, this is a passing down. And again, against your passing teams, like, understand that a wing T is going to still run a traditional Delaware wing T. Like, their best pass is a play action, and nobody expects it on 3rd and 12, or everybody expects it on 3rd and 12, so it doesn't work. And so, like, their best play sometimes is trap.
Right.
And so in that case, you got to know, like, we got to talk about this stuff. But in most teams, it's like 3rd and 12. This is a pass down. Don't worry about the down block. Your goal now becomes, can I get my hip even with his hip? How do I make that happen and beat him on the pass rush? Assuming you're not doing anything with, like, in our Tiger Cat, it's different and that kind of stuff. But if I'm just literally rushing the passer, trying to get pressure on the passer and move the spot, and ultimately that's what I want to do. And of course, if I'm a bull rusher, it's different. How do I get under him and get him pushed back? But if I'm doing a traditional pass rush, not bull rush, it's how do I get my hip even with his hip? And that becomes everything about what I'm doing. We're going to talk about pass rush moves in a minute. But if your defensive linemen have been watching film, and I'll be completely honest, most of our defensive linemen are not like committed film watchers looking at the right guard and figuring out like what his pass rush set looks like and how they can beat it. I just don't, in our world, 25, 30 varsity players, all of your offensive linemen also play defensive line. Like, they're working more on the offensive line. They're just going to go out and be athletes and execute their key reads. And I don't want to say be robots, but I mean, they're going to do that key read drill that they've executed 10,000 times on defense. The offense is going to take up all of their thinking capacity. But if you've got guys who can focus in on this, they can get in a feel for what those guys do in their pass sets and what they're going to see and how they can beat it, how they can get their hands off, how they can get even with them, how they can push pull, how they can sweep a rip, whatever. And so in those 3rd and long situations, you want to look at your defense and say, like, this is, or again, anything that's a passing, you want to get in those situations and you want to start talking about, like, this is how the thought process changes. Like, we talk about strength and tendencies. And if I have a 70% tendency, I'm so much better because I'm I'm leaning towards it being this. It doesn't mean that I don't do my normal stuff, but it's like I'm just ready to see, XYZ instead of ABC. I'm ready for it. And when I see it, it's like, "Ah, there it is," and I go. And that confidence to attack like that is huge. And so if third and long is a 70% plus tendency pass, probably more in a lot of cases. We know end of half, end of game, like the only thing that gets us in high school is the quarterback draw, because a lot of times he's the most athletic guy, but everything else can be a pass. So, or maybe a screen, maybe a screen. So I still have to be alert for screen. It's like, this is a screen down, is a screen retrace situation. Be alert for that. But man, if I can preload my brain for that, it'd be so much more effective.
I guess I kind of misspoke when I said we don't teach situational football for defensive linemen, but I think we do so much for the full defense, right? Like you
Mhm.
said, third and long versus what team are they? So maybe I misspoke there. So no one said, "Hey, you're an idiot." Of course, our D line know when it's third and long, and they
Oh
should
yeah,
go.
I mean, they know, but like, how much are you? And a lot of times we do things like we put in our faster, and we put in an athlete at end or something like that, or maybe make some substitutions. We do that. We tell them to jet. We change their stance a little bit, but it's not the same as prepping their brain for this, like how this is different.
Yeah, and giving them that extra tool. Let them, like, I think I don't remember if you called it preloading or pre-wiring. A couple of years ago, I think you used to use pre-wiring, pre-wire their brains for the pass here.
Mhm.
It might hurt you in the screen game sometimes because they do get that immediate pass set, but hopefully you've worked the screen retrace drill, right? And
Yep.
that has to be part of the situation. Yes, this is a pass heavy down. That's part A of the test. Part B is we also know that everyone's favorite gotta have it. It starts with a screen, right? They're gonna go to a screen first. Obviously, not 100% of the time, or then you would just blow those up. But
Yeah.
it is a part of the armament that they
Usually we
bring.
see second and long is screen down. Third and long is normally more of a pass down.
Yeah,
Normally, of course, different teams do different things. Some teams don't run any screens. Some teams run a boatload of them.
and it might even be, as a coach, you kind of divide and conquer. Your defensive ends are just pinning their ears back and let's go, and your inside guys are looking at like, yes, this is pass heavy. The odds of me getting there and him not booting out are low anyway. So maybe I am looking heavier screen, right? So there are options. You can switch that situation up and kind of cover both sides.
And we do that with our Tiger Cat blitz does that.
Right. So this kind of brings to our second point. I know we're pushing past the first one, but oh, poor Brandon. Brandon's, oh man, here we go. I'm just gonna put it on screen. Hey, buddy, we feel you, man. We've all been there. You do need to resubscribe. Go back to JDFB. Get back in there, my man. Sorry for
Tough loss.
yeah, that's a tough one. Calling your defense to attack the protection, and this is part two for the show tonight, but I think it brings a lot to this because you do, number one, you've pre-wired them. You've got them ready for that situation, but your play calling has got to match that as well, right? So if maybe you take away that weakness of like, man, this could be a true pass set or this could be a screen by simply putting on your stunt. Like, this is where we're going to light people up. We're going to speed the clock up for the quarterback. And so now it really isn't on my defensive lineman to be like, hey, I don't care about the screen here. I'm, whatever stunt you've got him on or whatever blitz you've got him on, or maybe he's just setting an edge. Kind of letting those guys, calling the plays to get back to work. Talk to me, Joe, about how you're working. Number one, what are you doing in film to figure out what their protection is? And how do you go through the week planning to attack that protection?
It can be tough at the high school level and clearly at the youth level because you don't get as much data when a team throws 12 times and 4 of them are play actions and 3 of them are screens. And you're like, well, and sometimes the protection, we talk about offensive line play is sometimes sloppy and pass protection can be even sloppier. And so it can be frustrating to try to nail this down. It's easy to say, it's harder to nail down, but essentially what you're looking for is where can I get an advantage and a numbers advantage? And the numbers advantage can come from a lesser offensive lineman, but more likely the numbers advantage comes from where does the back insert. So what we say is where does the protection split? Talking about the 5 guys who actually work on protection regularly. If they're going to split half man, half slide, the split is going to be the A gap. Is it to the side of the back or is it away from the back? Or, if they're under center, is it, where is it? Is it to the field? Is it to the tight end? Is it, depending on what they do, where does the protection split? If you have a 7-man protection where it's an I formation and the fullback's going to kick out to the right and the tailback's going to kick out to the left, it's like, give me the tailback over the fullback. Let me figure this out. Where, because that stud running back who's a 1.5 with the ball in his hands, he's a half at best as an offensive lineman because he doesn't like working on that stuff. That ain't what he's here to do. I mean, he's barely a pass catching threat. He's a hand the ball to him, and now it's a problem, right? Especially against your good run teams. And so what we want to find out is where the protection splits. If it's going to be slide protection, which way is the back going to protect? Because the split is on the end. If it splits in the middle, where is he going to insert? And then we want to call blitzes that either attack and stunts to an extent, but especially blitzes, we want to attack where that back is going to be. So if it's a half man, half slide team, we know that we want to run more internal pressures, interior pressures, where we can get on the back that way. To whereas if it's a slide protection, we might want to run single edge pressures. Double edge pressures, I talk about all the time. Everybody loves double edge pressures because you don't have to be smart because you're just guessing. Double edge is like, I know you might get outside, but I don't know which way. So I'm just going to guess. Double edge pressures have their purpose, but double edge pressures have the purpose of a quarterback who is going to try to escape within 1.8 seconds. You just don't know which way. And like in that case, you go, okay, I don't know which way he's going to run, but I know he's going to run outside. Double edge pressures are called way more than they probably should be in that respect. But do I want a single edge pressure? Which edge do I want to attack because the back's going to protect there? Or do I want a interior pressure because the back is going to insert inside? This is your 6-mans and your 6-mans and to an extent, your 7-man protections are going to be like this.
I was watching a lot of our film this week, obviously with our first game in, and we've seen it in the scrimmages too, and had really good conversation with the OC just about, what hurts us. And I think you've got to look at not only where does that protection split, but where do the kids fail within that protection, right? Because we've had, there's times our best O lineman is just not doing what we need him to do in pass pro. And so we've had to have a lot of conversation about that. What is his fundamentals? And just looking for that kid. Our number one O lineman is, he can struggle from time to time or just make a mistake. I don't want to say a struggle, but just, man, makes mistakes. He's a kid. And we've often talked about finding who's their 5th O lineman, which is the kid that they're
That's
like,
exactly, yeah. Well, what you really want to look for beyond the back, and maybe even more so, what you really want to look for is the number that wasn't there before.
yeah,
Because he's not the 5th, he's the 6th.
yeah.
And in high school, it's hard enough to find 5. Get the 6th. He might have been playing tight end last week. He might have been a backup Y last week.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So finding those kids and just testing their mettle. What do they do?
Better yet, he
Well?
was on JB last week. Yeah.
Is there, a stunt that's going to pull him up? Is it just a base stunt, just a simple twist or just a simple whatever, but he's already struggling to know the play call and the formation and his fundamentals are already bad. And now he has to react to a thing like, man, I think you can really tune a kid up pretty quick like that. And so, when you get into your film and you start looking for where to attack it, just like everything else in football, I think it starts with Jimmy's and Joe's. Yes, knowing if they're full slide, half man, whatever they're doing is wonderful because I think that gives you your base plays you're going to go to on defense.
Yeah,
the tricks you're going to pull out of the bag. And then the ones you can really hammer home are like, now I know where you split, and I know the guy sitting at that split is not up to snuff. So it just gives you a lot more tools out of the toolbox to kind of use against them.
There's other things you can look for. I mean, first of all, when you evaluate film, if one of the first things you're evaluating is not who's their best player, who do they think is, first of all, you want to find out who their best player is. Second, you want to find out who they think their best player is, because oftentimes it's not, because we're all clouded. Our judgment's clouded by, this is the coach's kid, or this is a weight room kid, or this is, whatever. Sometimes a kid's getting recruited, but the reality is he probably shouldn't, but he's got combine numbers. And it's like they feel like they've got to run behind him or throw behind, use him as the right tackle or use him as the left tackle. But the reality is he's a right tackle, but he's, he shouldn't be protecting backside of anybody, but he's big and he looks good in combines and he's got a Division I offer. And yeah, we want to know who got hurt, who got lost, and all that sort of stuff. But if you're not evaluating who best player is, who they think's the best player, and who worst player is, that's one of the first things that you need to do. That's one of the first evaluations you need to make, is who is the worst player on that, offensive line, and how can I attack him? And like you said, do they handle? Another thing to look at is when they come to the line of scrimmage. I just was recording some offensive line material and talked about communication, the importance of communication, and that when we get film from our JDFB Platinum clients for game film analysis, and we get offensive film, and the offense comes to the line of scrimmage, and it's like 5 individuals, and they don't talk, and you don't see hands pointing, and you don't see heads turning. You just see them come to the line, heads down, with their hand down, and that's it. It's not going to be good.
Yeah.
And when you see 5 guys come to the line, and you see pointing, and you see talking, and you see all of that, you figure at the very least they're going to pick everybody up, right? Because they sorted it out and they problem solved at the line. And so if I can look and see which one of those guys doesn't talk, which one of those guys doesn't pay attention, which one of those guys is just going out there doing his own thing, that means that I can run twist game, because he's planning to block the guy. He's a block somebody guy, right?
Yeah. Big on big, baby.
He's been taught his whole life to just run over the guy across from him. And he's a block somebody guy. He's a circle with a T, right? And the playbooks where I see 5 circles, well, a square and 4 circles, and they've all just got a T over them, and there's no thought process of the blocking scheme. It's just block somebody. He's a circle with a T. He's just going to block the guy in front of him. Well, I'm going to put 2 guys crossing his face. He ain't going to get them both. And probably he's going to pick off his buddy next to him who's trying to help.
Yeah.
And so that's the things, who's not communicating, who's not involved, who's not working as a unit. That's what I want to find. That's the things that as you get to go deeper. And when you're, it's the disadvantage of being the offensive line coach and the offensive coordinator is you don't get to dive into that as much. But if you are purely the offensive line coach, and I know most of us, like if you're the offensive line coach, you're probably like the defensive coordinator or something, and it's like, if you get to purely really focus in on being the offensive line coach, this is the stuff that you can arm your players with and give them film clips of that is going to put you ahead.
We kind of jump to the last piece here, Joe, really talking about simplifying once again. We started it in our level up, just talking simplifying, but you introduced me to this several years ago with this, just like, give your kids one pass rush move. Just get them one. And it probably shouldn't be a twist. I'm so tired of
be a spin move. It should not be a spin move.
I mean, a spin move. That's what I meant to say. Spin, not a twist. I can't count how many times on both hands and feet that we've had defensive tackles that do a spin move and they don't go anywhere. They re-engage the offensive lineman at the exact same spot. Like you or they spin into the gap next to them and the running back runs right where they just were. Like, you know what I mean?
You try to teach offensive linemen this, and again, we're at schools where the offensive linemen are the defensive linemen, and it's so funny because they will laugh and joke about it, and then they will turn around and do it. I always say that you guys get so much dumber when you go on the defensive line.
Yes,
but how do you pass protect a spin move? You just wait.
Yeah, let him finish. Or pick
him up. Welcome back.
Hands on his back.
Like, and by the time he gets out of the spin, the ball's out. Like,
yeah,
what are we holding? We're not. Yeah, absolutely infuriating. It should not be a spin move. Spin moves have a specific purpose. Not
And it ain't in
for
high
some reason
school.
the first thing everybody goes to is just spin. Like,
Not at the level high school we're all coaching.
yeah, we should not be
But
spin moving.
getting things back to simple. So giving kids a pass rush technique that they can actually use on Friday night or whatever night you play on. Teaching them to use their hands is great. But you know what isn't great is the pass protection on the other side. So it's like the guy on the other side is, if he's using his hand, is probably just going to hold you anyway. I literally just need you to go around him, and maybe he might even lunge at you, or he may, he may be working your direction because that's the man side, and now you're going to run 2 yards outside of him, and he's going to try to stretch across. There's a lot of stuff that can go on if you just go to the quarterback,
Yeah.
right? And so I think having a simplified toolbox of pass rush moves. I mean, who ends up being the D line coach, right? Like, there's some programs that have a dude that was a dude as a D lineman and has a huge bag of tricks that he can pull out of. But most of us are like me, where it's like, I really studied O line play because I need it. Like, it's very technical and I love it. And that's the kids I want to be around. And then you're around the biggies anyway. So just go ahead and be D line coach, right? Well, I don't know 35 pass rush moves. So I don't know that coaches always know all the ones they're trying to teach to begin with, or which situations call for them to be used, or what stunts they work best. So just moving this back down to like things they can actually use on Friday night, I think is huge.
I pretty much would only teach, and I will grant you that I was a nose guard in high school who cut the center. I had 1 sack. I don't even know what happened there. I might have had 1.5.
It fell in.
In college, as a freshman, I was a defensive end for God knows what reason, just because they didn't care where I went. And I got into one blowout where against Chowan, where my head coach told me I didn't get credit for the sack, so I have no stats. I didn't exist because I would never made the stat sheet. But my head coach told me after that game that on the Monday after the stat sheet came out that I was robbed of a half sack. So that is my story, is that I had 1 sack in high school and I was robbed of another half. So I don't know how to rush the passer, like, in an actual physical, like, don't know how to do it. Danny Morrison talked about Michael Strahan and I believe Richard Seymour at the same time that he coached. And they had, but I know for sure Strahan had 2 pass rush moves. That's it. I talked about Reggie White, 2 moves. Now, phenomenal athletes. Probably there were some moves that they didn't even, intend to be moves, but they're just because they're great athletes and big, big, strong guys and quick and everything. But the reality is they were taught and knew and used 2 pass rush moves. And this is what maybe not all, but most of the great pass rushers in the NFL in history have used. They have a move and they have a counter. And when the offensive lineman across from them obviously knows that's Michael Strahan, this is his move. And when they overset the move, there's a counter. And that's it. So you start to think about this and like, what is the move? What is the counter? Well, if the move is a speed rush, the counter might be he's going to set too, like if I'm a defensive end and I'm going to speed rush, he's going to set too fast. I'm going to be able to speed rush and whatever, punch and rip underneath him. Right now, I don't recommend that because we have a bigger problem of we are big slow ends and we have the fastest kid on the team playing quarterback. And when we go inside, we allow the outside escape move. That's for next week's episode. But essentially, these guys are looking at, okay, I have a move and I have so like if I'm a bull rusher, my other move is a push pull, right? So my bull rush, I'm going to try to run you over. And so you're eventually going to try to pop your feet and set, and I'm just going to pull you down, right? So I only need 2 moves. I'm going to bull rush you, and when I feel like you are popping your feet and setting that bull rush, I'm going to push pull you. Your natural reaction to the push is going to be, oh, it's a bull rush, and you're going to pop your feet, and I'm going to swat you down. I think that we should be teaching a bull rush, a speed rush. Bull rush and a speed rush are special. Speed rush guy, not everybody can do a speed rush. Not everybody can do a bull rush. Big guys bull rush, fast guys speed rush. And speed rush is basically just a dead sprint to see how fast I can get to your hip. Push pull is me striking the middle of you, feeling you push back and pulling you down. Post rip works similarly. It's kind of the in between, and that's the move that I would spend the most time on because we use it everywhere. And so post rip, I'm playing the half man advantage. Push pull, I'm usually not getting the half man advantage. Post rip, I'm playing the half man advantage, which is what I always want in pass rush. I always want to get the half man advantage on you. So I'm only working one arm, and then I'm going to try to pop that shoulder, get the push, and then I'm going to pull your shoulder down and rip through as I do it. And as I rip through, my goal is not just to rip my arm, but my goal is to rip my hip through with my arm so that my hip gets to where it is even with your hip. And that, the number one pass rush move that I would work is that. And then, I think that that's the one that they start with. Somewhat of a counter to that, to the rip, is there's some things with hand chopping and stuff that I don't like. I hate the swim move. And the worst thing is when a 5'8" kid tries to swim move, because that's terrible. Like, you just lifted your arm up and now you're off balance. 6'2" guy, offensive lineman, just goes boop. Swim move is a great way to get punched in the ribs. Nobody should ever be should be lifting their arm up. No short kid should ever be doing any sort of swim, punch, anything like that. What I teach is a punch move, and you got to be tall enough to ride this ride. The punch move is to punch through his ear hole. So right over his shoulder. So I'm going to punch right over his shoulder and then elbow the back. So it's not this. I never want to expose my rib cage, because if I let an offensive lineman get his hands underneath my pads, I'm done for.
Going for a ride.
So what I want to do is I want to punch, and I got to be tall enough to punch over his shoulder. Don't punch people that are taller than you. Don't punch over people that are taller than you. Punch through the shoulder, so right over top of the shoulder pad, and then elbow on the back of the shoulder to get me to knock that arm down and to get through. But again, that is all that I would ever teach. Spin move is a sin. Don't do it. And it's stupid. Like, the offensive linemen just go, gotcha. Like, you just go, I'll wait for you to come back. I'll wait, buddy. Ball's coming out in 2.3 anyway. So by the time you get out of the spin, I don't know what you're trying to accomplish here. But that thought process of 2 moves, and quite frankly, if you're playing teams that are only going to throw the ball, drop back pass 8 times a game, you only need 1 move. He's not going to figure it out. Like, he doesn't know. And the thing is, when you're playing against teams that run the ball all the time, when those teams are around, you shouldn't be using anything but your best pass rush move, because they are not good pass protectors.
Right.
And that's how you're going to get pressure that way. And then the other thing is, which again, this is the focus of next week. The other thing is, you've got to be conscious when you're doing these moves of pass rush lanes, because we have quarterbacks who are very escapable. And if we open up escape lanes, especially in man coverage when everybody's back is turned, we are in trouble when we do that. But yeah, best pass rushers in the game have 2 moves.
Yeah, and I don't think that changes just because, even if you have an elite coach or you have one elite player, or
we're talking NFL.
Yeah,
like, there's not, and I'm sure there are guys with 3 or 4 even, but the best in the game have 2. What makes you think that your 5'8", 195-pound defensive end needs 4 or 5?
Is there a point? Excuse me as I yawn here. Is there a point that these pass rush moves become like our scheme, where we're really trying to scheme a kid into success, where we're trying to use 2 or 3 so that he gets a little bit of surprise? I have paint all over my hands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For an offensive tackle, or is there ever a point where that second or third one in the bag is the difference maker for him just because he's not going to win otherwise?
I think if you look at, if you really get to do it, if you can look at the balance of, the guys, there may be advantages that you can gain and certain things that you can do and how you attack a specific blocker. Again, you have to start to look at how much your kids can handle and how much they can do and everything. Like, honestly, I think that if his second pass rush move is such a game changer, it should be his first pass rush move. But if there's something that you can take advantage of in a specific game where a kid tends to overset or a kid tends to jump set, overset meaning they are getting out of there too fast or getting outside or getting back too fast, that there may be advantages. Jump setting is where we come out almost like a run block and then settle into like a mirror slide type of deal. And so in that case, it may be a push pull. I've got an over aggressive pass protector. A lot of jump setters, you're jump setting for quick game. So it's just, let me stalemate you at the line. The ball's going to be out. So it doesn't matter. I don't know. I don't know how many of us get to put that much thought into it and put that time
When you're
into
already being reactionary anyway, right? Because you don't know if it's a pass or a run, right? So it's
right.
You got to do this in a split second and do the thing, do whatever your thing is.
Let me go back to one thing because I wanted to talk about this earlier and I didn't. We talk about passing situations. If you have some defensive linemen that can really think, teach them pig and a ram and situational pig and a ram. So pig and a ram is a pig is a pull and a ram is a run. And that's the calls that you make. And you look at the offensive lineman in his 3-point stance. And when an offensive lineman is about to come out and base block you, his knuckles are white. And when an offensive lineman is about to pass set or pull, that's a pig. So if he's got his heavy on his hand, and sometimes you can say his knuckles are white, or he's got, however it is, he's heavy. His weight is heavy on his hand. He's leaned forward. Maybe he's closer to the line, and when he's pulling or he's pass setting, he's setting back deeper. He's sitting back deeper in his alignment. Anything that they can pick up, because whether it's a pull or, if your guy's pulling, getting through there as fast as you can and going with him, you can blow the play up. Just beat the down block. So it doesn't hurt you to go, okay, I got a pig. So we teach defensive linemen to call it out. It's a pig, it's a pig, it's a pig. That means it's a pass or a pull. It's a ram, it's a ram, it's a ram. That means it's a run. He's heavy on his hand. And so if I can not only situationally know, hey, it's 3rd and 12, but maybe it's 1st and 10, but I've got a pig. And I can, again, preload it to say this is now a speed rush, because either I have to beat his pass set or beat the down block that's trying to get me because he's pulling away. Right. And either way, getting up the field is going to be okay. Now, if you don't get it right, down blocks can just crush you on that. So you got to be careful, depending on how good they are at down blockers. Because, good down blockers, if you're playing a really good wing T that's got really good down blockers and wide splits, and you just try to go running through, they're going to crush you. They're running a buck sweep. They're not worried about it. Like, they find speed rush through there. But that is another thing that can give you, maybe it's not down in distance, but it can give you the advantage that you need.
Yeah, I love it. All right, man. I think we checked all the boxes tonight. One last thing before we go here. This podcast spreads because of coaches like you. If it's helped you in any way, please share it. It's as simple as that. Just if you found something useful here, another episode, share those episodes out. Tonight we talked about improving your pass rush, situational football for defensive linemen. Coach Blankenship, it is being recorded. So he's asking, hey, is this being recorded by any chance? It is, and it'll be out next Thursday. Call your defense to attack the protection and teach simple pass rush techniques they can actually use. Last week, we talked about we can't move the ball consistently. A great episode just about getting your offense back under control. Once again, doing the simple things right. Next week, we can't stop dual threat quarterbacks. So that'll be a build on to what we've talked about tonight. Let's pay the bills one more time and get out of here, Joe.
All right. If your team has been stuck in the losing cycle, you can't seem to break it, nothing seems to work, it's time to break out. I have a brand new coaching manual called Breaking the Losing Cycle that reveals how underdog teams are turning their seasons around right now without needing more talent or a bigger roster. We're seeing it every week in our weekly wins in the chalkboard community and JDFB. Find out why teams stay stuck in the losing cycle, the secret ingredients to break out, and the quick fix solutions you can use right now to break your losing cycle for good. Go and download that free manual now at joedanielfootball.com/breaking to break the cycle and put an end to your losing tradition now.
One last time, I want to tell you to go to athleticspeedmovement.com. Sign up today. We have an in-season schedule for you, so you can get started now. You will see, you'll reap the heavy benefits this spring. It's very beneficial to not be trying to teach your coaches the thing that you want to install when you get back to work in January. So get in there now, get signed up.
I highly recommend you don't teach any of your coaches. You just do it. Tell them to stand over there. This is your 15 minutes, 20 minutes to talk about the Monday night game, right?
Love it. Speaking of, I think the Packers are whipping the Commanders' tails tonight.
Oh, Kami's getting beat down.
Yeah.
Had to go in and turn the game on for my wife. She was like, "Is there a game on tonight?" It's on Prime.
Yeah, it is on Prime. Yeah.
It's not. That's a male gene where we're just like, I'll check all of these things and find it. It's like
she's or from Google. Where can I watch this?
It's from Maryland, which is in the Midwest, though. So she doesn't.
Maryland in the Midwest,
right outside of DC, but in the Big Ten. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
That rivalry game with
regional
with Michigan or whatever.
What cells are opening and closing this week, Joe? No idea. Great. Social media. I'm
in season. It's a. We'll find out.
At Coach Chambo, okay, on Twitter/X. Y'all know wherever else to find me. Joe, where can we find you at?
On X at Football Info. Everything else at Joe Daniel Football. On Instagram at Joe Daniel Football. On the TikToks at Joe Daniel or Facebook.com/Joe Daniel Football. I think that's it. Joe at JoeDanielFootball.com on the emails, and then of course JoeDanielFootball.com and the Football Coaching Podcast wherever podcasts are sold.
Love it. The podcast is at the FBCP on Twitter/X. If it's your first time listening to the Football Coaching Podcast, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. You can find us on your favorite podcatcher, especially Apple Podcast and Spotify. If you've been listening for a while, please leave a review, especially on Apple Podcasts. And of course, you can jump over to YouTube and catch this the week after it releases on all the podcatchers.
The Tuesday after, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Football Coaching Podcast. And remember, coach simple, play fast, win. Forgot I'm the in-stream guy now. Yeah.